Good morning. Just turning my phone on to silent. And let's just bring that up a little bit. We seem to be... Oh, excuse me while I'm wiggling you around. Good morning, good morning. It is the first of the month, therefore I have literally just generated a new host code, so that will not yet have appeared anywhere other than here. You're seeing it first, because I need to go away and do the graphics and everything that go with that. But yes, so new month, new host code. So if you are shopping with me, don't forget to check that out. I have had a very busy weekend. I've worked all weekend actually, but I now feel as if everything is all about me. I've been cutting classes and things, so there's lots of odd bits of paper and things that all need to go away, so it's still feeling a little bit scatty around me, but it is lovely to be here with you on this Monday morning. And my name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and it is lovely to be here with you to do a bit of crafting and to have a bit of a play and a chat. Do come on and say hello. Do let us know how things are going for you. And if you want to go and find out any more about me, about any of my classes and events, if you would like me to be cutting a class for you next time, then do go and check out my website at www.loveaduckie.co.uk, and that new host code will be appearing there later on this morning. It is firmly on my to-do list. Now, I thought we'd have a bit of a play this morning with the Sand and Sea suite. It is just such a gorgeous suite that I thought that would be good for this morning. There's sort of, here in the UK, there's sort of hints that, you know, we might actually be able to go, if we don't already live at the sea, be able to go and see the sea this summer, potentially. A little bit of hope for a bit of a release from lockdown. So yeah, it seemed a good day to be playing with some of these things, and I'm still, as I'm rootling around, finding some of the bits for this suite, just looking for the embossing folder. There we go. And the dies, which are called seashells, surprisingly. So I will look for them in the S area of my snails, smooth sailing seaside seashells. Okay, so we have the most gorgeous stamp set. It's a photopolymer stamp set. You've got these stamps, you've got these sort of biggish stamps, and then you've got these infill type stamps for some of them. Some of them fit a big die, some of them fit small dies, some of them are just little bits of decoration in their own right. Some great sentiments. It's a really big stamp set with lots in there. So fabulous stamp set. The dies are really exciting. You've got this one big die just here that cuts out all this sort of shell area, and then these stamps will fit in there so that you can either snip them apart individually or use them as one big piece. You've got these little dies, you've got little starfish, little shell, a bit of seaweed going on there, all sorts of little odds and ends. Then you've got an embossing folder, and this embossing folder very excitedly fits the piece that you die cut from there. So if you die cut this whole piece, this embossing folder fits that, but it's also a beautiful embossing folder just to use as is. Always beautiful papers, but let's have a look at these first. We've got some pearlescent speciality paper here. So it's sort of an off-white ivory sort of colour, and as the name suggests, it is pearlescent. It is just beautiful, beautiful pearlescent. So I don't know whether they actually, I don't think they give a colour for that. It is sort of like an ivory colour, sort of a bit darker than our very vanilla really. And then we have these beautiful papers here, and you've got this starfish. You've got this lovely one here that looks like sand. All the shells, just beautiful. And these sort of ombre, sort of coloured water washed backgrounds. Just such a lovely ice cream colour type palette. So, you know, you can't go to the seaside without ice cream. The two go hand in hand. So real ice cream colours on that sea and sand paper. Then we've got this little set of stickers. I've not used any of these yet, but they're quite a good weight sticker. So you've got stars and starfish and these beautiful pink shells and blue shells. Really beautiful. And then the other thing that goes with this is the opal rounds. Let's dig those up. They're really pretty. They have like a hint of sort of glittery sparkle in them, and just gorgeous. And obviously you might want to add in some pearls with those shells as well. You might want to find a pearl in the middle of your shell. So really just oodles of gorgeousness, and really clever the way that the stamps and the dies all work together hand in hand. And I thought I'm going to take a bit of this pearlescent paper. It is really pretty. Cut to myself to make it 9.5. Let's just pop that away so it doesn't get dog-eared and battered. Swing this round and cut this to 13.9. Then we'll do the same with this. Pop the rest away so it doesn't get battered. I'm going to take this pearlescent paper and I'm going to emboss it. Let's take this embossing folder. We'll line that in there. Like that. Let's That's the first thing that's going to be buried after all my jobs yesterday. Where has the mat gone for my embossing folder? Aha! It's in the basket of bits waiting to go away. Here we are. So for this embossing folder we need our base plate number 1, and we need our embossing plate number 4, because it is a 3D embossing folder. So let's just run that through. Let's bring that off and look at that. Isn't it just stunning? And obviously now it's got that sort of pearlescent look to it as well. It just is beautiful. Stunning embossing folder. Gorgeousness. Right, let's decide. how we're going to add to this gorgeousness. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a piece of very vanilla cardstock and I'm going to, sorry, knock you about. That wasn't my intention. Rebuild my stamping, cut and emboss, and I'm going to die cut this large die just here. So having run that large die through, what you get is a, this stage, quite odd looking background piece. Let's have a play with some of these stamps. Obviously they are photopolymer, which is very useful. We'll bring in some crumb cake and we'll have some blushing bride for a bit of pear pizzazz. So saffron there, we'll have a look, see how they go. So I think I'm going to take this big shell just here. And just looking at my blocks, yes, it will fit on there, excellent. And let's take some crumb cake. And then we can line that up. It is fabulous, Jane, isn't it? We tend to find there are a few people that do join us from the US, but they tend to come in later because we're funny times for them at this time in the morning. But yeah, do come on and say hello wherever you are in the world. So there we go. There's that shell. Just beautiful detail on these shells. And I think we'll come in with this one. And blushing bride. We're really just playing at the moment to see what these things do. I have had a bit of a play with these, but not as much as I'd like. Eight to 10 PM in Australia. Well, we're sort of, it's just gone 9:15 here in the morning. Let's see what happens when we add this one in. Sort of adds that sense of shading. rather pretty. Should perhaps have stamped that off first. We've got this one just here, a slightly smaller stamp. Let's find a slightly smaller block. What should we have? Should we have a bit of pear pizzazz for this one? And this one. We'll have some saffron. That way. Mix and match. And then we've got this tiny little one here, and I'm going to add that in yellow as well. So having stamped all of those up, what we can do is we can now take our embossing folder again and line those shells up in that embossing folder. Ooh. Run that back through the machine with plate number 1 and number 4. And then you can see how well that is embossed on the back, but it's added all this embossed detail to those shells on the front as well, and they're just beautiful. So it will take, let's go with some Blushing Bride, I think. Trapped and didn't want to come away, so let's score that at 10.5. And to use this in the background, I might bring in a little smidge of saffron. What if I just dropped my scoring blade? I'll pick that up in just a second. 10 by 14.4 or whatever your first size mat is. You just pick that scoring blade up now before I kick it or something and it goes scattering off across the other side of the room. So there we've got that pearlescent paper. I'm going to take some scissors, if I can find some, and I'm going to snip out some of these shells. Take off that extra horn. And they really snip quite easily. We could lay that one over the top of where that one is, just there. Particularly when they're embossed, because you've got a really easy line to follow then. And then this little one. And we've got a couple of sort of little greenery type seaweedy type stamps that have also got dies to go with them. So let's take those. And if we open up our dies, you can see that you've got this die here and this die here. I haven't put any magnetic sheet on these dies yet. Need to do that as well. There's another job for today. I tell you, today's to-do list is a long one. Let's find a little bit more Very Vanilla, because we're using Very Vanilla in the background, so we want to continue to do that. It would be very odd if we suddenly swapped out to basic white now. Let's take I'm going to go 3 of that one, then this one. I think I'll perhaps take that in pink as well, because why not? In our Under the Sea world, we can have whatever colours we like. So let's cut those out. I don't know whether you can get pink seaweed, but we are declaring that you can. You're allowed. One and two. So we'll need to run these through a couple of times, because I've just got the one of each die. And 1 and 2. Let's pop that die down just there for now. One more for good luck. There we go. Just going to pop these little dies in my dish so that I don't lose them. got some of seaweed scattering around the place. We need to choose one of our lovely sentiments now. Friends are like seashells, you collect them along the way. Happy birthday to my beautiful friend, you are unique and completely amazing. So happy I found you, wishing you the very best. Love you to the beach and back. As a thank you. I love this one that says you are unique and completely amazing. Let's bring in, let's find another bit of very vanilla. That one looks as if it's been through the mill slightly. That's the thing about them being in your scrap box. Sometimes they get a bit battered. And I think we'll go, let's go Pear Pizzazz. Let's go chop that round. Oh, that's a little wonky. Let's take a little bit of saffron. Bring in some of the Blushing Bride twine from the Snail Mail combo. And let's do a big loopy bow. We'll have that come underneath there. Let's untwist this slightly. Thank you. No, it doesn't want to untwist. No, I want to be twisty. Thank you very much. Don't go untwisting me. Let's find some tape. Really doesn't want to untwist. Right, let's have a little look. Let's stick some of this together. So I'm going to just pop that off of there, and we'll put our pearlescent background onto our So Saffron mat. So Saffron is one of those colours, I hadn't used it for a little while. I used quite a bit of it yesterday. Perhaps it's because it's sort of feeling spring-like. I think that's what it is. But it certainly is here. Right, so this curly shell here, I need to bring in some dimensionals and lift that up. we'll layer that on top of the curly shell on there. I need to lift it up slightly. I think we'll have this one. That's coming in about there. Excuse me. This one, let's put that a dimensional on that one. Let's have that yellow one at the back there. This little yellow one down here. Let's find a take a big dimensional. Yeah, it's just about. That coming in down here, and then we've got our bits of seaweed. We'll have tucking out around and about. We've got our greeting. Where shall we tuck that? I think we'll stick that down flat in there. And let that shell sort of follow that curve of that sentiment. We'll trim those off in a minute. Let's have another piece of seaweed coming out there. We'll have a pink one down here. And perhaps a bit of green just there. We could bring a couple of these little opal dots in. We'll have a couple of those scattered round and about. Let's have one down here. There. Just really soft, pretty colours, but those they just are so gorgeous. Beautiful. But I think we should also have a bit of a play with some of the papers as well, because it would be rude not to, because they are equally stunning. Just decisions. Shall we go for a background paper, or shall we get that one? That one always reminds me of raspberry ripple ice cream. Got some stars there. Just scrummy. Come in with this one, and we'll cut that down to 13.9. Turn it around. Had I taken that other side, it would have been a completely different feel to it. Just beautiful. That's almost like sunset over the sea, isn't it? No, seaside spray we want. I know that my seaside spray cardstock stash is running a little bit low. I've put an order in. Not sure I've got any left at all. If I haven't, we'll have to have a swap in thought process. Yeah, no seaside spray. Right, let's go for a bigger card. So I'm going to take some thick basic white. And I'm going to cut this so that it is 7 inches wide, which is probably about 17.7, something like that. Then I'm going to cut it at 10 inches, but I'm making a 5x7 card base. So you need to cut it 7 inches on the shorter way, 10 inches on the longer way, because otherwise you can't fit it in, because our cardstock is not 14 inches long. And then, oh, my blades have swapped around. I need to sort that out. And then there's a score line at 5 inches. So cut it at 10x7, score at 5 on the long side to get a nice 5x7 card. I'm going to take this piece of wavy paper and I'm going to stick with inches for a minute. I'm going to cut that at 6 3/4 and 4 3/4. Oh, I didn't fold that very evenly. I'll look at that in a second. And then I'm going to take a piece of Whisper White and cut that at, I'm going to still make that 14.4 by 10 because that's what we've cut that paper. Use the metric measurements for that paper. Let's bring that in and fold that a bit better so it's slightly straighter. That's better. We've got our wavy card paper in the back, and then we've got like a sunset over the sea just there. This paper has the most beautiful shells on. Let's I'm going to take that one there. I can disguise the fact that that's missing a point, I think. And perhaps we'll have this little yellow one as well. So this is just literally playing with the paper. So because they're sort of a nice watercolory effect, and these are obviously the sorts of effects that you can get with those infill stamps that are in the stamp set. You can reproduce this. Watercolour effect. Now we come with this shell. So we've got some in pink and some in blue, bit of a flash of yellow. Let's have this one. So because this one, the pointy bit goes off the edge, we can always make sure we tuck that end in, although once we've cut it out it doesn't look so very odd. We'll have this little dark pink one here too. Right, let's come back. There's one here that says, friends are like seashells, you collect them along the way. I'm going to move my little cut out pieces just there because I want to heat emboss this greeting. I'll put that on my block. Let's find some Versamark and ink that up. Good firm press down. I'm going to bring in some white embossing powder. There's a little bit in there we just need to brush off. And let's give that a burst. There it goes. Friends are like seashells, you collect them along the way. Isn't that a pretty paper? With all those shells on. Let's stick that on there. We'll stick this one on here. And this one's quite nice and fun. These dots, you could use that for all sorts of things. Definitely not just for seaside cards. come back to my Blushing Bride. This is obviously out of the Snail Mail duo of twines. You get the Blushing Bride and the white. Tie that in a bow. I want to bring it down slightly and have this coming on here on a bit of an angle. And we'll have our shells coming in over the top. Now the other thing that I've seen, one of the samples in the catalogue, is using a couple of these stickers and some pearls. So let's stick these shells on first. So I think this one will stick on flat, and this one, might turn that round. No, actually I think I'm going to stick it that way, even though it's got its funny little slightly flat end. I don't think that that shows particularly. This front one will have just there. So I say this doesn't involve any stamping or anything. This is literally just what we want to do with these is bring them together to give the impression of an open shell. Then we will bring, let's find a large pearl, I think. Just to pop in the centre there. And then I'll just put a couple more pearls around the outside. I'm going to pop this onto the card front, but I'll layer that up on some dimensionals. So just by making that background card bigger, you've suddenly got, you know, something that it's a bit more of a wow card that you'd then send perhaps to a special friend for a birthday, or just because. How's that? So I think we've managed to play with a little bit of everything there. We've used the embossing folder, the big dies, the stamps, the opals, the pearlescent paper, the DSP, the stickers, the whole kit and caboodle. But it is just Such a beautiful, beautiful suite of projects, gorgeous papers, fabulous stamps, such clever ways that these embossing folders and stamps and dies all work together. So it really is an absolute must-have as we start to head towards, here in the UK anyway, some sunshine and summer. And perhaps elsewhere in the world, you're reminiscing about sunshine and summer, but days at the beach. So thank you for joining me today. I'll be back later in the week. And if there's anything there that you want to add to your collection, do get in touch. And I'll see you all very, very soon.